Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So we're carrying on with the SIG today, as you can see. This is as we left it off last time. If you remember, we fitted the steel slide, stainless steel outer barrel as well. I'm still waiting for the spring clip for the front sight, so we haven't got that yet. But as you can see, all that stuff's all fitted on nicely. I haven't really done anything with it since. It's just been sitting as is because obviously I'm still waiting for parts. But I have pretty much what I need to do the lower now, I believe. So we're going to go through that today. So we're going to remove the top slide. Before we do that though, and we move on, let's take that out. The top slide, this is the factory TM spring, which works okay, but it's just a bit sluggish for my tastes. Now, I'm going to change it to something else. I don't suggest you guys do this unless you're happy with having slightly poorer gas efficiency. For me, it doesn't bother me because I like to have a snappy recoil, so have a slightly stronger spring. So I'm going to take the slide off. So again, rotate this down, take that off. I'm going to change the recoil spring in here for something that's a bit stronger. This is the factory TM spring, which to be honest with you, works fine in this, and it would be absolutely fine. The only thing is, I really want something that's a bit tougher. And the best I can find out of all my spring box is this one. Now, don't be fooled. This is obviously a lot shorter than what this one is. This is the stock TM one. This is the new one. But the gauge of wire is considerably thicker. And that will give much better tension. So I'm going to put this one on. Put that in. And then lock that into place in the hop unit. And I can get it in there. There we go. We'll try it on the lower. There you go, you can see straight away. That is much quicker. And that's exactly what we want. Exactly what we want there. So great, I'm happy with that. That's fantastic. So we're going to put the slide over to one side now because we're done with that, apart from that front sight, which again I'm waiting for the little clip for at the moment. We ran into last time a little bit of a problem with the nozzle sticking open. I'm going to have a look at that once we've got the pistol together because I'm expecting there to be further issues. So we're going to sort that later on. So now we want to obviously go through this lower. We want to change it into the other lower that I have, the frame, which is this one. Like I said before, I'm going for a dual tone look here. So that's the frame we're going to be fitting. And I'll also potentially change over the trigger bar here for the Garda one. Now, I will check this out. I think this is steel. If the trigger bar which is in here is steel, I'm going to leave it because I want to try and leave it as much stock TM as possible because that's where we get our reliability from. Whereas if we change it for something that's steel, then it's probably going to give us all kinds of problems. We also want to fit our steel takedown lever and our steel trigger pin. Now, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't sure whether I was going to need this or not. So I purchased it and we're going to sort of see how we go. We might need this, we might not. I'm assuming we will. So anyway, first things first, let's get this out of the way. Very pretty frame that it is. So we'll move those bits out of the way. And we need to start taking this lower apart. Now, this has got the Garda upgrade grips on it. I'm not entirely sure how they come apart, if I'm honest, because usually they are screwed on a 226, but for some reason, these have no screws. So I'm guessing They're probably pinned together at the back. So they'll normally lever apart. But I'm guessing, because I've never seen them before or used them, so we will find out together. So I'm going to try and push this open from the inside, see if I can get this out slightly. Interesting. Right, I'll try and push this out and get something under the grip, see if I can prise it out. Yeah, this is going to give me problems, I think. I don't really want to mess up the frame. Where there's a will, there's a way. I don't really want to be jamming a screwdriver down the side of this, but I don't think I've got many options. So I think these are coming apart now. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there we go. That's it. That's what we want. Lovely. Yeah, as suspected, they are roll pinned together and they clip in those little studs. Nice design, actually. I'm quite impressed with those. I was going to change them. I think I might stick with those ones now. So anyway, with the grips off, you can see a lot of the lower in here. We've got the hammer unit housing. This is made of a heavier alloy. The reason why it's made out of a heavier alloy is that, well, they do this to add weight to the pistol, because obviously, being a plastic gun, it wouldn't really have a lot of weight. So they do this to try and sort of bulk it out slightly, but you can buy the lightweight Garda version, which I probably won't bother with. I'm just going to leave it as is for now. Again, we've got some components here which are silver, which I believe are the steel parts. I could be wrong though. Some of them are, some of them aren't. So we'll go with that for now. Now, first of all, we want to probably try and remove the magazine release. Now, I'm going to use my little tray to keep everything where it needs to be. One thing I am going to quickly do is just put these two little screws over one side. These are from our blowback unit when we were doing the slide. So I'll put that with the slide for now. We keep those there. Now you can see here on the lower, there's a very, very small Phillips head screw there. So I'm going to use my small set of screwdriver and bits. It's quite small, so we'll try this one, see if that will fit. And that is a perfect fit. Lovely. So we get that in there. Let's undo that. Thankfully, because it's into a plastic frame, it shouldn't be very tight. It looks like it's a self-tapping screw, but we're going to keep that over one side. And then this should lift off. There we go. That is plastic, I think. No, it is metal, just alloy. So then we've got our magazine release in there at the moment. How does that come out? Now, I'll be honest with you guys, I have never really messed around with an E2 before. I've no idea whether it's the same as some of the WEs or the railed. I had a railed a long time ago, and I was doing a project build on it, but I got sick of it after a while because the parts, the Garda parts back then were just not very good. So I decided not to bother. And ended up selling it. So this is all still quite new to me in this one, but at the end of the day, it's got to come apart one way or another. So usually it comes apart in layers. So we've got a screw in the front there which probably holds this front unit in, but I can't take that out until I've taken the hammer unit out. I'm going to drop the hammer down for now, and I can't really take that out until I've removed the decocker. So I think that's going to be our next phase. But what I am going to do before I do anything, I'm going to pause the filming and I'm going to take a load of pictures. Now, if you're taking something apart for the first time and you've got no idea how it comes apart, for God's sake, take some pictures of it so you've got something to refer back to. Because there's nothing worse than taking it apart and then realising that, oh, I can't remember how it goes back together. So I'm going to pause the video here, take some pictures, some detailed pictures of the internals, where everything goes, and then we'll go from there. All right? Right, guys, I'm back. So let's start taking this apart then. So first of all, I'm going to take the spring off this decocker. By the looks of things, the spring is what holds the decocker in place. So we're going to get that up and out of the way. Being a spring, I'm expecting it to ping off. So I have to try and keep an eye if it goes flying over the other side of the room. I'm fully expecting it to at the moment. There we go. Okay, lovely. So that's that out. Now, by the looks of things, there's these two screws which enables that decocker to come off now. So it looks like I'm using that little head screwdriver again. Yep, seems to be the perfect size. They look like the same size as the little one that held the plate on the other side. So I don't think we're going to need to worry about that too much. What's nice to see as well, as I'm taking this apart, I'm taking note of where these screws go, and you can see I've got two little screw holes there. They don't appear to be threaded, so that could be a bit of a pain putting them back in, but they are self-tapping screws. So fingers crossed that won't be so much of a problem. So we're going to get that little plate out of the way. I believe that is a piece of aluminium. Yeah, it's just an alloy, it's not steel. However, the decocker is steel. That plate, I think, can come out of the way now. That's good. Okay, so next thing then. I think next thing is going to be probably removing the hammer unit there. So we're going to take that out. That's just it's actually got a bit of a weight to it there. We've got our spring and our hammer bow here as well. And that is nice and straight. Sometimes these bend if people are a bit aggressive with them, but that is steel. So that's all good. We don't want to mess with that too much, so we're just going to leave that over one side. So I think next is going to be the hammer unit to come out, and then we can attempt to do the front unit there. The slide catch is part of this front unit, so we don't got to worry about that. So I think, yeah, we're going to do the hammer unit next. By the looks of things, I'm going to need to take that out. So let's take that spring out. There we go. Looks like there's a couple of pins that hold it in place. There's one at the back here. There's one there. Other than that, I don't see anything else really holding it in. So I think that will be it. So let's get those pins out. So I need this little spike. These are really handy for this kind of thing. If you're doing anything with very, very small pins, these are really handy. So I'm going to need to push that pin out. There it is. And then I need to push that main pin out, which I suspect actually holds the hammer in place as well. Sometimes with Tokamarus there's a little brass bush which holds it in place, and this goes through the middle of it, but we'll soon find out. So that pin now comes out. There we go. Obviously that's steel as well. This should now lift out. There we go. That's what we want. Straight out. Lovely. Now, I'm going to do very little with this. I'm not going to mess with it at all. I'm going to leave it just as it is. Mainly because I don't want to mess with it because it's working. Now, I'm the type of person where I like to take things apart and see how they work. You can actually see all the inner workings quite well from in here. Now, I've noticed that some of these parts that are inside here have the number 2 on them. Now, I'm assuming that means E2. So that is the improved part. Now, This is, by the looks of things, an alloy sear. Obviously, the preference would be steel, but it doesn't really need to be steel unless we're upgrading the hammer spring. Again, when any of these upgrade builds, we want to try and leave as much Toki Marui or standard stuff in as you can. Changing it all out for all upgraded parts would be a bit of a disaster. The likelihood is it wouldn't work very well, and then you'll be changing back and you'll have £100 worth of parts which are just useless. So a couple of things to note. The valve locker on the side here is under spring tension. Now again, you don't want to mess with this too much, so I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to put it over one side and hopefully you don't knock it and bits go everywhere. I could put it in a little bag actually in the meantime so nothing falls out, but I'm worried again that I'm going to knock it. So I'm just going to place it over one side for now and leave it there. So that's that rear section out there. By the looks of things, that hammer, that trigger bar, sorry, is steel. So I'm happy to just leave that as is without changing that. So now we want to get this front one out. Now, this, I believe, is going to have to come out first. I can see there is a little spring tensioner in there which just holds that in place. So I'm going to try to lever that back a bit and then hopefully we can wriggle that out. With a bit of luck. There we go. Good, lovely. You can see there's a little detent in there which holds that in place. I'm going to give that a bit of a wipe. There's some lube on it, but in actual fact, I'm not sure why I'm cleaning it because I've got a steel one for it to go back in anyway. That's the stock one. Now, the reason why we're changing this is that this part here is what the guide rod sits up against. So it sits against that. Now, obviously, as the slide comes back, it's hammering against this. Now, if you've got an alloy slide, you'll probably be fine. However, if it's plastic or alloy, sorry, you'll be fine. But if it's steel, there's a lot of mass there. This is going to break. There's not a lot of meat between this part here. There's literally a great big slot in it there. There's only from there to there in metal. So that is literally not going to last 10 minutes. So we're going to change this out for the steel one. But we'll put this over one side for now. Okay, we now need to try and get that out. And there is an Allen key in here. So we're going to remove that. That is quite loose, worryingly. I mean, to be fair, it is just a location screw from my understanding, so it doesn't actually do anything. But still, I'm a bit confused why that would be so loose. Okay, there we go, there's that screw. Put that in that tray. Now, I'm expecting this to lift out. Now, there is a pin going through here, but I suspect, yeah, that's just plastic. That is not the actual pin. It's just part of the frame which has been made to look like it. So there is a screw inside here, so we're going to need to remove that. Once we've removed that, that should free up the that front unit. There we go. From the lower. So hopefully this will now lift out. No. Okay. Feels a bit tight. Let's look around, see if there's anything else that's holding it in place. I don't think there is. Don't see anything else that's in the way. That is definitely just a piece of plastic. That's definitely not the pin. I don't see any other pins that are holding it from what I can tell. Let's have a look if there's any other screws anywhere. No, it looks pretty good. Now, obviously I don't want to go mad with this because at the end of the day, it's important we don't break it. No, I can't see anything that's holding it, so we're going to have to go for a little bit of brute force. Again, I don't like to go down this route, but there are certain times we need to. So I'm just going to get the screwdriver in under there, try and lever it out. That's levering up, there we go. Now again, it's always best to have another quick look around, see if you can see anything else holding it in at all. And that should come out in one solid piece. Take that out as well. There's a spring here, which is for the slide release. I think I'm going to get hold of that and get that out of the way. I'm going to put that in the tray. See if there's any springs on the other side. No. So we should be able to continue to lift this out now. There we go. And there we have our almost empty lower, because the only other part we have to worry about is this magazine catch. I think this part here is what holds that in. There we go. So there's your magazine catch spring. And now we should be able to remove the magazine catch completely. There we go. There is your empty TM plastic lower. So there we go. It wasn't that hard, was it? There's a few bits and pieces in here that we need to think about. Obviously, we've got that for your magazine catch spring, so I'm not going to mess with that. I'm going to try and put that back in as is. There's our magazine catch, which is in lovely condition. I might go for a steel one of these at a later stage, because obviously there's only that little nub there that holds the mag in, and it could wear down. Now, I've got this pin that I ordered, steel trigger pin. So there's the pin in question, and if I'm honest, it looks to be steel anyway. So I'm debating whether I mess with it or not. It's not that I'm afraid of taking it apart or anything. In fact, I'm quite keen to get it apart and see what it's like inside. But for the sake of this video, I don't want it to be 35 minutes of me just messing around with a trigger box trying to get it back together. So for the sake of this video, I'm keen to just keep it short. And if there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with it, I'm going to leave it. Now, the trigger bar is definitely steel, which is great. So we're not going to have to mess around with that. I don't want to use the Garda one unless I really have to. I'm pretty certain that pin is steel. If I had my magnet, I'd be able to check it out. Let's just try and scratch it. That does scratch quite easily, actually. Right, I suspect that is alloy. Now, I don't think that's too much of a problem, because that is just an alloy trigger as well. I haven't got the steel one there. I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to leave it as is. I could change it for the steel pin, but I think I'm going to save the pin until I change the trigger to a steel one. I'll probably be replacing this front unit at a later stage as well, potentially. But I definitely intend on fitting the steel trigger. So we'll worry about that at a later stage. So there we go. That's that taken apart and ready to go now. So let's move on to the next stage. So our next stage now is replacing all the parts we've taken out and put them in our new lower. Or a new frame, should I say. And basically you want to put these all back together in the order they came out of. So first of all, we're going to put our magazine catch into the frame. Now these parts can be a little tight, and actually that is a little bit tight there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of oil on this as it goes in. Just a touch either side. That will help it go in. There we go. Nice, that's gone straight in there. Perfect. Okay, let's get that all the way in. There we go. Now straight away, there is a bit of resistance there. We're back to the issues we were having with the barrel. So yeah, there's a bit of resistance there. I'm not going to worry about that too much at the moment. That seems to be okay for now, but it is something we're going to have to think about at a later stage. So anyway, next thing we want to do is put this back in place. This was our spring for the magazine catch. So that should just slide in there and lock into place like so. There we go. And that is all in there now. Lovely, that's good. So that's all fine. Now I'm noticing already, I'm getting some marks on this frame. Now, I thought that this might be painted, having had a look at it, but I think actually it's just bare alloy, bare aluminium. So it is going to dull down with me handling it like this, which is a bit of a shame. So I do think at a later stage I am going to mirror polish this at some point. I could keep cleaning my hands, but all these parts are oily, so I'd be here forever. So I'm not going to worry about that too much. So what I think I am going to do is just jump ahead a little bit and fit this plate that goes in the side here, which I know was actually the first thing I did. But I thought that I would need, there we go, and a little screw that holds that in. I thought I was going to need to take that out first, or I was going to take it out first, but it turns out that wasn't the case. So now these holes I don't think are tapped, so these, yeah, they are cutting their own thread. So when you're putting these in, you want to put a bit of force behind the screw as you rotate it, and that will start to cut the thread. Continue with the same pressure until it bottoms out. Don't over tighten it though. As soon as you strip that thread, that's it, it's game over. So that's in there now, that feels positive. So other than that, the last thing we took out was the trigger unit. So we're going to try and fit that back in. Now, part of the way going in, I am going to then refit the spring here for the slide release. So first we're going to drop that into place. Now, hold on a second. What I am going to quickly check before I do that. We've got these. Now, I think, yes, these go in here. Now, I think these will go in afterwards. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will. So I'm not going to worry about it just yet. I will put them in afterwards. I was a bit concerned that I might have to do those first. I think we'll be fine. So this is going to go in first. Now, again, it could be a bit tight because it's not had any of these parts fitted previously, and they've been inside a plastic frame, so they're probably not going to be 100%. I'll put that spring back in. There we go. This seems to be in there nicely. Right, let's see if we can slide this home. Okay, it's going in. All that's sitting in the right position, which is good. That front bit needs to go down some. Oh, that's tight. So I'm going to have to lever this up a little bit. Now, I think what's happened at the moment is we've pitched it at an angle here. So we need to try and put it down together. And again, that's still quite tight. We'll give it a bit of a tap. Which is making no change. Just going to check to make sure there's nothing stopping it. That magazine catch spring is not holding it. Ah, now I've been stupid here. Okay, so we're going to take this back out and I'm going to show you what I've done here. So it just goes to show, you know, this takes time. It isn't just something that can just happen straight away, that you can just throw these parts in. You have to really look and think about it. So I've missed a part here, and I'll show you what I've missed. Okay, I'll take that back out. Now, sometimes we get this with Garda parts. They've fitted us a nice new screw in here. You can see that just there, which is on an Allen key, which is nice. So I'm going to remove that. And I think the reason why they've done that is on the factory one, the screw is a self-tapping screw, which this will be threaded. So this will have a thread in there. And that was why that unit was not going down. So we're taking that out. It's quite a long one actually. That's good. Right, take two. Again, we'll try and be careful not to lose that spring. That That's it. Okay. Start to slide this down. It's getting a little stuck there. Let's move this over a touch. There we go, that's going in now. Lovely. Right. Now let's go down a little bit further. So just to get it home, I'm going to give it a bit of a tap with the end of the screwdriver. That's almost all the way down there now. It needs to go a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. Notice I wasn't wailing away with a hammer. These parts are alloy after all. The end of the screwdriver is plastic, so it's not going to hurt it. But that is all in there nicely now, which is good. Right, so next thing was we need to install that screw, which holds that unit in place. Now, looking at it, when I took it out actually, I said it wasn't very tight. It was just a location screw. It's not designed to hold it in, like screw it into place or anything. It's literally just designed to hold it there, stop it moving around. Notice again, I'm only using it, the Allen key, this way around because I don't want to over tighten it because this is into alloy at the end of the day. Right, so now I can fit this new screw they give you, which is good. So we'll do that now. So that goes in there like so. Hopefully you can see that. I'm trying to keep an eye on the camera screen so I can see that you can see what I can see, but also trying to get these right at the same time. So let me know if I'm missing anything out. So that's that. That's now in, which is good. I think we're going to fit the steel takedown lever now. So let's get that out for now. There it is. Let's get that out of there. There we go. Nice. Right, a little bit of oil on that, as that's fresh and new and has never been fitted to anything before. So I'm expecting it to cause us a little bit of a problem getting in. Now there is that detent I had to press in there to release this, so I'm going to have to do that to get this back in. So I'm going to push that into there. I'm going to push the detent back a bit and then rotate that in. There we go. Lovely. That should be in there nicely. That detent is not moving though, so maybe I need to move it back a bit. Okay. That's very, very loose, which is not what we want. Why is that? Okay, let's take it back out again. If I could get it out, of course. That is very loose. Why is that so loose? That detent doesn't seem to be doing anything. So maybe I've gone a bit too mad with it. No, it's definitely not pressing into that at all. Right, I'll try and get this back out again now. Which is easier said than done, of course. Right. Now again, I don't want to force it, but equally, that is not sitting in there as I want it to. There we go. Right. Yeah, that detent I've pushed down too far, I think. So what's happened now is the detent, you can see through the hole there, there should be a little tab that pokes out, which locates that, which you can see the little notches on the back of that to locate it. For some reason, that's not moving. I'm going to try wiggling it, see if I can bring it back, which I just have, which is good. Excellent. Okay, yeah, it's just a bit stiff, that's all. Okay, fine. Push that back in for now, get this back in. And then hopefully I can push that back up. There we go, lovely. That's it, perfect. Now this is a bit tight. I kind of expected this would be the case for the first time. It usually is. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a bit of oil in there, which will help that. And work that back and forth a bit. Hopefully that will ease that up a little bit. Yeah, it's still pretty tight. Unfortunately, this is the thing we get. And you can see straight away I've changed to a steel part. And straight away we've got issues. Unfortunately, it's necessary for me to fit this steel part in, though, as I said earlier. If I didn't do that, then it's going to end up breaking quite quickly. So, again, this is part of the problem with doing these upgrades. Again, you give it to a tech and wonder why they're charging you quite a lot of money to do it. It's because this is the kind of stuff they have to work through. So, okay, let's put a little bit more oil on it in the groove. Right, so that's kind of in for now. I'm debating whether or not I take that back out and try and figure out why that's still sticking, because it is being a bit of a problem. Yeah, I think I'm going to take it back out and I'm going to have a look at that. So I'm going to pause this for now because you've already seen me do this. I'm going to take this back out and investigate why that's getting stuck. So I've got it back apart now. I've figured out what the problem is. The little location pin, as soon as I start to lift it out, the little locator has become nice and loose again and is working perfectly. So that's not a problem. What it actually seems to be is that it just wasn't in the correct position, and this lug here on the inside of the frame is what guides that lock into place. Now it's quite rough, so I don't know whether that is just causing some friction there. So I'm going to put it back in again. Hopefully I've got it straight this time, and we'll see how it sits. If it sits okay, great. If not, then we're going to have it back apart again.